Hello and welcome to another episode of Furry Acumen. And today we're going to be talking about Fursonas and what are Fursonas, why would you have one, and most importantly, are they really that weird? And obviously this is mostly for the benefit of non-furs as well as those who are new to the fandom. And the majority of furries who have spent time in the fandom, particularly online, will already have a good idea of what a fursona is. However, I've found that most will still have a hard time trying to explain it to other people, particularly furries who are just joining the fandom. You know, when you first get in there, it's like, what are these? What are fursonas? So, before we get to what a fursona is, let's start by examining what a persona is. Persona being short for personification, which is an embodiment or an incarnation by definition. Actors, for instance, will personify fictional characters or fictional characters in order to make an otherwise dry regurgitation of a story into a relatable and memorable story. So, and an actor does this by behaving in the ways in which they imagine that the fictitious character would. And to the observer, this illusion can be very convincing, and it gives a fictitious idea something very real and observable. Traditionally, personas were rarely seen outside of theater and acting, but they didn't fully take off until the rise of the internet. When you're online, anonymity is the default state. You're anonymous. That's how things start. Unlike physical interactions, you can make no assumption about the person based on their race, gender, appearance, or even their age. You only know what the other person tells you about themselves. This radically changes the ways in which we can personify things. When you're online, suddenly you don't require a script and a mountain of makeup and a set to simulate an idea. Not just that, again, it becomes a lot more personal and readily available. You can act out an idea. You don't need to rely on professional actors to bring your perception to life anymore. Anyone online can become anyone they want to be. And that's one of the criticisms that a lot of older generations make of the internet. They say, isn't that dishonest to lie about who you are for the sake of playing the role? And I suppose you can say that. But in a lot of ways, I think it can be much more intellectually honest than reality. People act out the person that they see themselves as, and the people that they want to become, rather than the person that they were born into being. There's a lot more truth in that, I think, because they've actually chosen how they want to be perceived. Now, taking pride in your race or gender, when you never chose that race or gender, but simply inherited it, is fairly meaningless. If you're born a certain race, then you'll find things to take pride in within your own race. Same's true for gender. However, if you had the choice to pick any race you wanted, after reviewing all of them, and you pick a certain race, then there's a lot more honesty in your identification with that race. A persona, then, in essence, is an embodiment of who you would be if you had been able to choose all the defining characteristics of yourself, everything from eye color to your personality. It's a role-playing game on the most in-depth scale possible. Having already abandoned reality for the sake of truth of self, a persona is just taking one more step than a persona. The person creating the persona just simply says, well, I've picked my race, and I've picked my gender, I've picked my eye color. What species should I pick? Do I really identify most with humans? Or is there an animal that I would identify with more? For that matter, why pick? I can be a human with animal characteristics, anthropomorph, if you will. And, that is it. That's all Fursona is. Imagine you make a Facebook, and you make a new Facebook, you give it a name, and that is all. When you start, your Facebook page is blank. There's no profile, there's no bio, there's no information about you. You just have a name in a sea of names online. You have to start filling in the boxes. You start in a completely anonymous state. There is no way to look at a default Facebook profile and say, what gender are they? What race are they? What eye color do they have? What are their favorite things? You have to tell people that, or no one will know. A persona is when you start, I suppose, tentatively lying about these things to make your Facebook profile match who you wish you were, who you would have chosen to be if given the choice. All that a persona really is you scroll down and you get to the box that says species. By default, it's filled in as human. And you say, why? I can change anything else on my profile. I don't have to put in my real weight. I don't have to put in my real eye color. I can put in the eye color and weight I wished I had. Well, or the weight and eye color I most identify with. Why keep my species marked as human? Why would I do that? When really, I identify more with, say, a tiger with rainbow stripes. What if I identify with that? So I put tiger in the box. My persona is now a fursona. And that's it. That's the only real difference. We've just taken it that one little step further and said, I'm going to change my species too. So, are fursonas really so weird? Well, you obviously will need to be the judge of that, but honestly, they're not any weirder than the personas that everyone else who is online has created. If you want to be a 17-year-old girl who only weighs 80 pounds, that's fine. I want to be a tiger with rainbow stripes. We are both just acting out our characters, and I just happen to have a different role than you do. What about relating to fursonas, though? It's perfectly easy to create a false account of yourself online. Like I said, you just go in your profile and change it. If I change my eyes from brown to blue, that's fine. But how do I relate to the cyber me who has blue eyes when I have brown eyes? Well, with eyes, it's not so hard to portray myself as that person. But how do I portray myself when I've made the claim that I am a rainbow tiger? How could I possibly relate to that? And that's one of the biggest criticisms that's actually worth addressing I've heard about fursonas. It's like, I can see relating to myself if I were 20 pounds lighter. I could see relating to myself if I were the other gender even. But how would I relate to myself if I was a different species? And I can't really give a perfect answer to this because it's different for a lot of people, I think. A lot of people's personas actually they don't relate with, and they think they exist external to themselves as a completely separate person. I guess the only real way to relate is to act it out, but obviously you do build a relation with what you act out. Um, there's this old saying, if it looks like a duck, and it quacks like a duck, and it floats like a duck, it's a duck. Well, if you go through all the motions, if you get online and you act like a rainbow tiger and you say what a rainbow tiger would say and you do what a rainbow tiger would do and you think what a rainbow tiger would think, you have the personality a rainbow tiger would have, you develop a relation with that idea. And how do I know what a rainbow tiger would do? Well, that's the thing. I created it. I'm acting it out like a character I created. If I think this character should have this personality, then that's the personality they'll have. It's my creation, and I give it life, and I can relate to it because all the components of it that I put in there, I put there because I already related to them. I picked a tiger because I already related to a tiger. I picked his rainbow stripes because I already had a lot of affinity with rainbows. I picked every facet of my character because I already related to those things. So when someone asks me, how could you possibly relate to this rainbow tiger? I say, I did before he even existed, and I'm quite honest in that statement. Honestly, if you watch the progression of my Fursona, it was originally a human. I just had a persona. It was originally a human. And after a while, I said, why not a cat? And so I became a cat. And I said, I think I prefer tigers, actually. They're more close to my style. I said, okay, tiger is just a bigger cat with a bit more personality. So I thought, okay, now I'm a tiger. And after a while, I learned to start coloring. I am a colorist. And I said, okay, well, I want my tiger to have blue stripes, cayenne stripes in particular. And so I had blue stripes for a while. And then I said, you know what? I've gotten really quite good at coloring. And I am, obviously gay. Rainbows make a lot of sense. For a person who is a colorist, to have a lot of color to their persona is reasonable. So I said, okay, why not rainbow stripes? Well, I have a lot of taste as well, which this is kind of a play on words, but then I flavored those stripes. And of course, I forgot to mention my scarf, which I added after playing the game Disgaea, a Nipponichi game. Very wonderful. I related with that game, and especially the main character, Laharl, so much that I added a scarf similar to his own to my own Fursona quite a while back, shortly after becoming a tiger. Everything about it was stuff I already liked or I already related to. So now that I've arrived at this end product, people say, how could you possibly have gotten here? I got here step by step. Like I said, I started off as a human. In fact, I had originally started off trying to be honest to reality. I started off with all my real features. I listed my real weight, my real gender, my real race, my real species. And after a while I said, I don't relate with this, actually. I know I am a white male who weighs, I'm not going to post that here, but I know that's what I am in real life, but, if I could choose, would I choose this? And the answer was no. I don't think I would have. If I could have chosen anything, I'm in my own imagination when I'm making my Fursona. Why limit myself? And why should you? I don't think that's weird. I think that is the definition of intellectual honesty. Peace.